Friends, you are watching a Plus recap. This story begins by depicting the streets of British France, where silence reigned. But then, breaking through the silence, some British soldiers are seen running. The German army, Hitler's army, was pursuing them and trying to kill them. The soldiers were running away in fear, but they couldn't hold out for long, and eventually, Hitler's army captured them, killing them one by one. But a soldier named Tommy somehow managed to escape with his life. After that, he reached Dunkirk Beach, where millions of soldiers from many countries were already present, fighting together against Hitler. But during the Second World War, Hitler's army overpowered the soldiers of all countries and occupied most of France. Because of this, all the soldiers had settled in Dunk Beach, where they were waiting for help from their countries. Hitler's army could attack them at any time. Therefore, the soldiers wanted to return home as soon as possible. One of them was Tommy, who had escaped from Hitler's army and fled here. Then he saw a soldier named Gibson burying his friend. Seeing this, Tommy went to him and started helping him. He also asked for some water to drink. Gibson then gave him the bottle. Sadness and silence were clearly visible in the eyes of both of them. But somewhere deep down, they also had hope that they would soon reach home. With this thought in mind, Tommy stands in line to board the ship, which was several kilometers long, as there were not just one or two, but 300,000 soldiers waiting in line to go home. But then Hitler's fighter jets arrive and dash the soldiers' hopes. They begin bombing them, killing thousands of soldiers while severely injuring others. This attack creates chaos everywhere. Tommy and Gibson decide to seize the opportunity and quickly carry an injured soldier onto the ship, which is actually a hospital ship. In fact, Tommy and Gibson, under the guise of being the injured soldier, wanted to board the ship themselves so they could get home. With this thought in mind, they cross the line of soldiers and with great difficulty board the ship. But the officers, upon seeing them, make them disembark. But Gibson and Tommy weren't ones to give up. They cleverly hid under a bridge called the Mole, so they could be the first to board when the next ship arrived to pick up the soldiers. While they were thinking about this, Hitler's army suddenly began bombing them from above, causing panic and the loss of many soldiers. Meanwhile, Shiv, who was carrying an injured soldier to England, had barely traveled a short distance from the Mole when Hitler's army attacked the ship. It slowly began to sink, and everyone jumped off the ship to save their lives. Gibson and Tommy, also witnessing this, rescue a soldier named Alex from the water, thus forming a friendship. Alex, Gibson, and Tommy take advantage of the darkness of the night to board a boat to a British ship anchored offshore, which was already crowded. Gradually, all the soldiers, including these three, begin boarding the ship. Once inside, Tommy and Alex go to the basement to eat, while Gibson stays outside. All the soldiers on the ship appear overjoyed, as they are about to return home. But their joy turns to sorrow when their ship is attacked by underwater wire-borne munitions, causing a massive explosion that causes the ship to fill with water and sank. Seeing this, all the soldiers on the ship try to get out, but the ship's gate was closed, trapping them inside. Gibson somehow manages to open the gate and rescue Tommy and Alex. After that, all three swim to the shore and save their lives. But after last night's accident, Alex, Gibson, and Tommy are completely devastated. They realize that no matter how hard they try, they can't escape. Meanwhile, we see the Prime Minister of England requesting everyone to vote for the government so that the soldiers stranded on Dunk Beach can be brought back safely to England. In fact, the shore at Dunk Beach isn't very deep, making it impossible for large ships to reach it. Therefore, the government needed small boats. After listening to the Prime Minister, many in the city agree to vote for him. But a man named Dawson refuses. Instead of voting for the government, he sets off for France with his sons, Peter and George, to help the soldiers stranded at Dunk Beach. With this thought in mind, Dawson begins his journey, and as he crosses the English Channel, he spots a wrecked ship in the middle of the ocean, on top of which a soldier is sitting, looking sad and depressed, was sitting in a sad expression. Without wasting any time, Dawson immediately takes his boat to him and takes him aboard. That he then asks the soldier his name, but he doesn't respond. Seeing his condition, Dawson understands that he is in deep shock. Then we learn that the ship this soldier was traveling to England was attacked by the German army. As a result, His ship sank and all the soldiers on board were killed. But he somehow survived. But now he is extremely frightened, and his fear becomes evident. When he learns that Dosen is going to retrieve the soldier from Dunk Beach, he becomes completely distraught and, while admonishing Dosen, tells him not to go there. If you go, you will never come back alive. He also asks Soldier to turn the boat towards England. But Dawes was determined to stay at Dunk Beach, so he refuses to listen to Soldier. Seeing this, Soldier becomes enraged and attacks Dosen and tries to take control of his boat. However, George intervenes and begins to grapple with Soldier. He suddenly suffers a severe head injury. Peter then helps him up, bandages his head, and lays him down. But George can't see anything. In fact, the head injury has caused him to lose his eyesight. But George is unconcerned. He tells Peter, "I've always wanted to do something that would get my photo published in the newspaper and let my teachers and friends know how brave I am." Here, we see the soldier, now sitting quietly, as Dawson begins to row the boat toward Dunk Beach once again. Meanwhile, Tommy, Alex, and Gibson, who were still stranded on the beach, suddenly spot some Scottish soldiers heading toward the boat. So, the three follow them and then everyone gets into the boat. But getting it out to sea wasn't easy, as the boat was stuck on the shore. The soldiers knew well that the sea level rises twice a day, and only when the level rises at high tide can the soldiers take the boat out to sea and free themselves from this terrifying beach. Just then, the boat captain comes in, quite frightened and scared. He tells all the soldiers that this place is ruled by German soldiers and that he is present here. As soon as the captain says this, the German soldiers suddenly attack the boat, resulting in a bullet wound. But the German soldiers are unaware that British soldiers are aboard. They were actually practicing their shooting and leave shortly after. As night falls, the water level begins to rise, and seawater begins to pour in through the holes left by the bullets. This causes the soldiers to panic, knowing full well that if the water continues to flow in, the boat will sink and they will be killed. So they begin to look for ways to save the boat. All the soldiers are coming up with ideas, but Gibson remains silent. He hadn't spoken a single word since he met Tommy. This makes Tommy suspect that Gibson might be a German spy. When he asks Gibson this question, Tommy replies that he's not a German soldier, but a French soldier. In fact, the soldier Gibson was burying at the beginning of the story was a British soldier whose uniform Gibson had worn because British soldiers were the first to be rescued from the beach. That's why he donned the British uniform so he could reach his home. Hearing Gibson's words, everyone calms down, knowing full well that soldiers, whether French or British, all want to return home. Meanwhile, the boat fills with water, after which all the soldiers jump off one by one and start heading for shore to save their lives. But Gibson is unable to escape the boat because his leg is entangled in the chains, and he tries desperately to free himself. To no avail, Gibson sinks with the boat, killing himself. Here, we see Tommy and Alex spot a large ship in the distance and try to swim to it to save their lives. But then, 3 British fighter planes appear in the sky, determined to take revenge on the German fighter jets that attacked the hospital ship, killing many soldiers. So, now the British fighter planes have come to take revenge. They circle the sky, searching for the German army jets, and after a while, they find them, after which the 3 fighter planes attack them. But suddenly, their captain's plane crashes. As a result, only 2 fighter planes remain in the sky. The pilot of one of these planes was Ferrier, a brave soldier who attempted to destroy the German fighter jets by attacking them. But then Ferrier discovered that his plane's fuel gauge was broken. This alarmed Ferrier, as the broken gauge meant he would no longer know anything about the plane's fuel supply. It won't work, considering how little he has left. So Ferrier flies the plane very carefully and begins fighting the German fighter jets, quickly shooting down one of the bombers. But then Ferrier's other partner's plane crashes into the sea, landing exactly where Dosen's boat was. When Dosen spots the plane, he immediately rushes to the scene with his boat and sees that the pilot is still alive, trying to open the door, even as the plane continues to fill with water. Seeing this, Dosen and Peter help the pilot, put him in their boat, and head back to Dunk Beach. Meanwhile, German bombers are continuously attacking the ships, ensuring no soldier survives. Ferrier's fighter plane, however, is still flying in the sky, trying to intercept the bombers. Meanwhile, we see Tommy and Alex, who were heading for the ship to save their lives, when German bombers also attack the ship. This causes the ship's oil to spill into the water, and as Ferrier aims the bomber, it falls directly into the water. Within seconds, the sea catches fire, trapping numerous soldiers. To rescue them, Dosen immediately rushes to the scene with his boat and gets as many soldiers aboard as possible, including Tommy and Alex. Dosen then begins sailing towards England with all the soldiers. Some English citizens, like Dosen, also arrive at Dunk Beach with their boats to help the soldiers. Seeing them, all the soldiers rejoice, as they are about to return home. They then connect several trucks to form a mole, over which all the soldiers can reach the board. Here we see Ferrier, still fighting the German fighter jets, and he shoots them down one by one. This allows Dawson and the other boats to escape the German bomber attack, saving thousands of soldiers from losing their lives. Next, we see George. Peter goes to meet him and learns that George is no longer alive. Just then, the same soldier who had fought with George arrives. He asks Peter about George's condition, but he refuses to tell him anything because Dawson had told him not to. In fact, Dawson didn't want the soldier to feel responsible for George's death and live his life with this guilt. According to Doss, it was just an accident, not a deliberate act of the soldier's murder. Meanwhile, Ferrier's plane runs out of fuel. However, he manages to land it on a beach. However, the entire area was under German control, who immediately arrested Ferrier. Meanwhile, approximately 300,000 soldiers were rescued from Dunk Beach. However, many French soldiers were still trapped there. Commander Button decided to stay there to rescue them. After a few hours of travel, Dawson also reached England with his boat. Afterward, all the soldiers boarded trains and began departing for their homes. As soon as they arrived in the city, the crowd at the station welcomed them warmly, as even though the soldiers had lost to the German army, they had made a place for themselves in the hearts of the people. Now, Tommy reads Churchill's statement, which stated that they had expected only 45,000 soldiers to survive. But 335,000 soldiers are safe. This means the operation was a success. We then see Peter, who was telling George's story to everyone in the media. Both his story and photo are published in the newspaper, fulfilling George's dream. The movie ends right there.